This is an international podcast transmission. Is anyone out there? If you're listening, you've reached the No Fixed Agenda podcast.
Everyone, welcome to No Fixed Agenda, presented by Bubs Naturals. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jeff Stoner. I am not joined by Omar today. Not going to lie, the holiday kind of caught up to us. Didn't have a chance to record an intro since we all actually recorded this episode only a few days ago because of the holiday. So kind of rushed it through just because it's such a fun conversation. And I think it's very informative, and it's all about social media marketing with our friend, Isabella Janovic. And Isabella is my social media coordinator for my trail races. She's an ambassador. So we share a lot of conversation and stories about that. But also as a teacher of social media marketing, she kind of breaks down some of the things you need to organically work on to help build your social media accounts. So this was a very fun, very informative conversation. Always a lot of laughs with Isabella. So if you guys know her, you guys are definitely going to enjoy this conversation. If you don't know her, well, get to know her and follow her on social media. She's got a lot of stories that she are very informative to follow along with, especially if you're into trail running or into running in general. But just an overall fun conversation. I'm keeping it short today. So hope you guys enjoy. Welcome to No Fixed Agenda, Isabella Janovic.
This is No Fixed Agenda, brought to you by Bubs Natural. Their mission statement is simple: live better, live longer. Bubs helps fuel people to reach their maximum human potential through supplements sourced from nature's highest quality ingredients, while giving 10% of all proceeds back to charity. Learn more about their NSF sports certified collagen peptides and electrolyte drink mix at bubsnaturals.com.
She does have different jobs in 40 different categories of work.
There was a funny, it was like, I think it was Mad TV or like in Living Color, where it says, I'm Jamaican, so he had 20 jobs, assuming that Jamaicans have 40 or 50 jobs. And it's the parent giving the kid crap because the kid only has 2 jobs.
Oh, that was in Living Color.
Yeah, in Living Color. You remember that? Yeah.
I remember.
Oh, wow.
Jeff is not 27.
Yeah, I'm not 27. I remember that was one of the best shows
ever. Anyhow,
I want to know what your business Tinder profile is.
Yes, business Tinder profile, right? So if we're looking you up and we want to swipe, if swiping is meaning we want to keep you, right? We want to see you again. Yeah. I got confused. They were like, swipe left. Which one is the right? Like, I want to know more about you. I want to swipe. Is that left or right? I don't fucking know.
I don't know either.
All right. So first tell us what you've been up to and then give us your entrepreneur Tinder profile.
Oh man, June was one of my main clients is Destination Trail Races, and that's Candace Burt, who puts on the 200-mile races, and the Tahoe 200 was in June. So this was my first time doing social media, being the media director for a 200-mile event. Usually the races I do are a lot shorter. So I headed out there, worked with the photographers. We had a live stream videographer as well. And I made sure I stayed with the front runners, the top 3 male and female social media. So I'm driving around on the course. I was out there with my gimbal, trying to keep up with the front leaders when they caught up to me or when they came by me, which was not easy because they are fast and I'm holding the camera, trying not to eat it. And then trying to get all the volunteers. And after I got the front runners crossing the finish line, which they crossed the finish line at all different times, and you can't miss them. I almost missed the second place guy because they're all throughout the night. Then I went back on the course and I tried to grab stories of the mid-pack runners and the back of the pack runners, finding them on the course, asking them, why are you out here doing the 200? Met some really cool people. When the DFL guy came in, we went out about 4 miles out and did the last 4 miles with him. So it was really cool to really get to know the DFL and watch him cross the finish line. Extremely emotional. So I did about a total of 30 in-feed posts, 60, 70 Instagram stories, and some reels. all while being out there. I have never had to use my brain so much before because you have to constantly think of what you're going to write, the content you're going to write. And the photographers had pretty good reception out there. So they were able to send me photos on the spots that they were at on the course, along with all the images I captured. And then I have a Starlink Wi-Fi. So I had that in my van. So every time I drove to an aid station, I was able to set it up and post real quick. So yeah, it was super exciting, super exhausting. I came home, I took a nap for about 4 or 5 days, and then I got back into it.
That's not a nap. That's hibernation. That reminds me of like when I was kicking when I first got into rehab. And I was like sleeping for 20 days straight.
And I'm training for Jeff's race during this whole time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which one?
She's going to be on the South Bay 24.
Ooh.
August, yeah. So
yep.
She's going for that beautiful belt buckle that we announced earlier.
The
absolutely
belt buckle.
Yeah.
Is it like a cowboy buckle, bro?
It is, dude.
It is?
Yeah. I'll show you a picture later on.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
You got boots for it?
I don't even have a belt. I have my medals, and then I have all my buckles down over here, but I need a belt.
You need to just go buy some belts so you can just connect them to the belts and just hang those too.
Dude, yeah. I don't want a buckle. I want the crucible sword that Vera talked about, bro.
I remember that.
I want the fucking sword, bro.
I actually have a sword.
I want the sword.
Belt buckle's cooler.
I have a sword, but it's not from a competition. My husband and I, when we got married, we had a pirate themed wedding. And instead of having a nice cake cutter, someone bought us a super nice real sword to cut the cake with.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
I can see how that fits snacks, by the way.
Yeah.
So before I've got a bunch of questions when it comes to the Tahoe 200. Give a brief rundown of who you are really quick and what you do from the business perspective, because you work with brands, you work with myself on the social media, you've worked with obviously Tahoe 200, and you're a teacher altogether. So break that down really quick, and then I've got some questions on this whole entire Tahoe 200 live feed scenario that we're doing here.
Isabella Janovic, also known as Izzy B, and I'm an ultra runner, trail runner, and marketer. So after being in corporate marketing from all different types of positions up to management, senior level, I went back to school. I got my master's and I started my own business 7 years ago, Janovic Communications, with a goal just to work with running brands, something that I'm passionate about. I worked many years in the software industry doing marketing and it was very boring. I'm too much personality for that. And I was always worried about when I was going to have time to run. Now I don't ever have to worry about that because usually when you hang out with clients or meet with them, you're running with them. So it works out great. Yeah. So the brands I work with, I have some set brands, big brands in Gingy I've worked with, Nathan Hydration, Spring Energy. And then I work with race directors like Jeff and Candace. And then some races, they might just hire me to do social media on a project based where I just do their social media for 2 or 3 months leading up for the race. I might do social media the day of their event, and then I don't do it again until the following year. So I work with for-profits and nonprofit race directors.
And you're still a marketing social media teacher?
Oh, yeah. And after I got my master's at Cal State San Marcos. They asked me to come back and teach social media marketing. And during that time, it was in person. I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. That sounds great. I have no problem talking to people. And there was a big learning curve. I was like the sweating person. I always sweat in front of a crowd. So I'm like, oh, I'm the teacher. Everyone's looking at the sweating issues. And all of my examples were like breweries at first. And then I'm like, wait, these kids are like 18, 19, 20. So I had to change all my examples, coffee and running. And then I learned from friends who were teachers. They said, you got to teach at Miracosta. It's the best paying school and they have online classes. Whereas at Cal State San Marcos, they didn't teach online. This was before COVID. And I was like, oh, awesome. So I went into my network and sure enough, two friends at MROC that we used to work out with worked at Miracosta. Through my networking and skill set, I was able to get a class at Miracosta and it just went from there. So I was already teaching online. And then COVID hit and everything went online and I was extremely busy teaching at both schools. And then after COVID, Cal State San Marcos went back to in person. So I stopped teaching there and I only teach at Miracosta remote classes. That way I could still run my business and travel all the time. So I've been teaching for about 5 years now, maybe 6. Wow.
So this is quite interesting. I think this is one of the things that Omar and I wanted to chat about. Like we've had social media influencers on before. We've got content creators coming on in the next few weeks. So from a teaching perspective, this kind of interests me a little bit. And because social media is an ever-changing algorithm and evolution and everything else. So in the 5 years that you've been teaching social media marketing, like how often do you have to change up some of your teachings because of the way social media has changed? Or is that even a thing that you have to consider and you're more or less just going from the marketing side of things? Because that would be to me, trying to teach some kind of social media aspect at this point is 6 months from now, it's going to be completely different. So now I've got to teach it this way.
Exactly.
Right?
It's like teaching people how to build a computer, right? I used to do supply chain logistics for a computer company. They had a contract with the government. And so every 6 months, there was something new. Every 8 months, there was something new. Is that similar to what you're experiencing as a social media?
Yeah. So the marketing class is like principles of marketing, business communications. I might change like one module a semester. It's not too bad. But social media, I usually have to change 3 or 4 modules a semester just to keep updated. Historically, they've tried to use a really basic textbook, so there's something to look back on. But Maricosa has recently gotten grants where they're called the no textbook grants, where teachers are rewriting the courses so that students don't have to buy textbooks, period. Like they're just getting all their materials for free, no cost textbooks, which I wish they had that when I was in college. So in the spring this year, I was paid to rewrite the class personal selling. So I went out there and got all the resources and materials so that students wouldn't have to purchase a book. And we just found out that the social media class got the grant as well. So I'll be rewriting that class later in the spring next year.
What are some of the key features that get taught for social media marketing from your perspective, and what hasn't changed? So those are always the base points, right? So you've always got those core things that you can go back to.
So I teach my students it's the basic social media class, like a 101 social media. And you teach the basics of how to set up every single platform, but you connect it to marketing strategies, how to use it for business. And then I use a lot of examples that I've used with my clients to give them real life examples. So there might be a module on like podcast, and I'll give them Jeff's podcast to listen to. Or I might use this Tahoe 200 and how we use that and make an assignment out of it. When Instagram came out with Reels, I had to update that module. I'm actually go back to school quite frequently. Last year, I got a certificate in nonprofit marketing. So I'll be adding a nonprofit module to my social media class. How does social media differ when it's profit versus nonprofit? This year in the fall, I'm actually taking an AI class so that I can present to the students. This is how you use AI and ChatGPT for your social media. So I'm constantly going back to school as well. I'm always reading podcasts or seeing what other people are doing, listening to podcasts, reading different emails. Like I have subscriptions to emails, databases, following other people who I think do great social media and seeing how they're doing it. And even I can't keep up, and I'm on it 10 hours a day. It's crazy how things change so much.
I will say really quick, when she talks about connecting these modules for her students, your Trail Life podcast episode is still my number one listened to podcast, like by far.
Yeah,
like,
he mentioned that. I was like, hey, what kind of questions are we going to ask? We're going to have 2 social media people coming on. One is a creator and the other one's probably like background. He's I got the number one. He talked about your podcast.
and I'm talking by thousands.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all my students every semester.
So what I'm trying to say is maybe you could nudge them towards this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I revamp every semester, right?
Yeah. So I will thank you from that perspective. That episode keeps
gaming it, baby.
It just keeps on going. And that conversation was done like back in 2021, I think.
Wow.
So for 3 years, it just keeps accumulating downloads. It's awesome.
And I use your race as an example, and I've turned some people into runners who have signed up for your race. Yeah.
About how many kids you get per module when you're teaching?
So I teach 3 classes a semester, and it's anywhere from 25 to 35 students a class. Yeah.
And it's intriguing to me because I think nowadays kids from 5 years on, as soon as their parents give them a device, they're on social media now.
Yeah.
So you don't have to teach them how to set up a profile.
I do though.
Really?
Yes, because Miracosta College is community college. And it's really cool because I went to Miracosta College before transferring to UC San Diego. I've been in that space, so I have the same story as these students. But these are also older adults too.
Yeah,
I will get anywhere in the 40s to 70s. I get 40 and 50-year-olds who are like, hey, I haven't been to school in 30 years. I have older students who are like, hey, I had my teenager help me. It was really cool. We got to work on this project together. So it's really neat, like the older people.
You bring up a very good point. So the people in these classes are the older people that are trying to educate or catch up on what the younger people are doing. You get a whole lot of young people in there?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I even get every once in a while, I'll get some high school kids too, because they do have a program where high school students can take Miracosta College courses.
I look at some of the programs that I had to take going through college and like the marketing and business side of things. Like this actually, I wish that some of these classes would have been available when I was going to college, because we always had to take the bullshit marketing and business classes. Yeah. Like this would actually be really cool, and how to like market yourself and create the marketing aspect around the social media.
We established that you're old as hell, dude. So social media wasn't around when you were in college.
I know.
Excuse me, Facebook had just come out.
MySpace. It was before MySpace.
I was even before MySpace, so it's fine. Cell phones didn't even come out until I was out
after high school.
I was still calling people up on their ground line, trying to hit them up to see if they were doing on a Friday night in college.
Paging them with the codes.
Exactly.
Was in chat rooms. He was on chat rooms.
AOL.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah. We didn't have that shit, man. Actually, when I was going to college, they had just started computer science classes.
Wow.
Like really fully like how to code shit.
Yeah.
Like,
DOS. Yeah.
Now I look at it and how to set up. One of the classes I took was how to set up a website, which was on the most basic general platform you can possibly do that's not even existent anymore. And yes, I am dating myself. I'm just saying that.
Old is dirt, you guys. Old is dirt.
Hey. You're right there with me.
I'm right behind you, baby. That's it. That's it. Hey, to your age. Kudos to you, though, man. You're faster than me. You're more of an athlete than me.
See, Omar asked because Omar still needs to try and set up how to do profiles and stuff.
Hey, you're talking to somebody.
He's just lucky his wife does it for him.
Dude, I freaking hate social media. The fact I'm going to be that old guy in one of your classes at some point. It's not that I don't know how to do it. I do. I just don't find joy in it. And so I know people like yourself, and we have other influencers that are really close to us, and they love it. It's like an art form. I get it. I totally get it. I don't have the time, the energy, or the desire to want to do it. It's interesting to me that your audience that's showing up to these classes or signing up for these classes are in the older demographic, because it makes sense. It makes total sense. I got people in our community now in the gym that are like, hey, is there anything I can help you with? And this is the first thing I want to pop up is like social media. They're like, not happening. Yeah. So it's interesting to me, all that stuff. Talk to me a little about when you get into, you go 101. How in depth do you get into like analytics of social media? So
I concentrate mostly on organic social media. There's all different types. The brands, the bigger brands that want all the analytics and they want all the ads, they usually hire a specific ad agency that concentrates on those analytics and how to target that demographic. So I'm more on the organic side. So big brands like Nathan, for example, I do all the organic work, the fun content where I reach out to the ambassadors and the athletes and I let everyone know what's going on. And then they have an actual agency that works more on the analytics and the ads and setting all that stuff up.
So how do you make a decision on the organic stuff? Are you just basically just based off of your experience making a decision on what to capture, questions to ask? Or is there something you're following right now for like our audience? What are the things that you see trend? And even though we understand you're keeping track of this, you spend 10 hours a day, you're on all the podcasts, you're getting all their emails and all that stuff. But how do you make your decisions on, say, racing versus some of the other brands that you're working with?
I think it's experience, and because I'm in the sport as well. So I'm actually at the events. I know the athletes. Being a team manager for a couple of the brands, I actually know the athletes. I know the ambassadors. I've been part of ambassador programs myself, so I know how to manage ambassadors as well and how to get the content and what kind of content works well and gets the most engagement.
We talk about the algorithm stuff, and I know you're not really into that because it's more organic, but from the organic side of things, when you start adding in reels versus posts versus stories, like when you're going through the instruction aspect of it, how does a lot of those different types play into it? And we even talk about Twitter or X or whatever the hell they're calling it now versus Threads.
Wait, Twitter's not around anymore?
What's called X.
Oh gosh.
Well, X now.
Good job, Elon.
Hey, dude. He bought Twitter, bro.
Exactly.
I mean, when you own half the world.
We talk about all of these different types and how you teach it to people. Like, again, Threads versus X. And I wouldn't say Facebook versus Instagram because it's the same thing. But are you leaning into how things get taught through some of those different platforms, or you're trying to just focus on one specific way to do it so all platforms can be effective?
Yeah. So I teach all the basics on the algorithms, and I do pay attention to certain demographics, but really just like 3 or 4. But I do pay attention what kind of posts are getting more content. Is a Trail Tuesday tip post getting more content? A Weekend Wednesday post? The pro athletes obviously get more engagement. Reels. Also, I pay attention to what time of the day and what day of the week I post. For my audience, the best days are Monday through Thursday when I post. And for runners, it's mostly in the morning. Whereas when I had brewery and winery clients, they had the most engagement between 3 and 5 on more of a Tuesday through Saturday type of thing. So it just really depends on your demographic and where they're at. I haven't seen much activity. I was just talking to Jeff about this on X platform lately. It's really blowing up in the running space in Instagram and Facebook groups. So I noticed there's a lot more engagement in Facebook groups than on the regular pages. But again, it depends what industry you're in and who your client is.
Go off on a tangent really fast.
Jesus, buckle in.
She hears my tangents not as much as you do, but she hears it from a business side of things. So
I do. He warns me. I just got to vent for a minute, okay? I'm like, okay, I got you.
Yeah, she's one of the first ones I call to vent to.
I'm sorry.
From a business side of things.
Thanks.
What drives me crazy is creating the reels aspect of it. And you and I have had this conversation,
100%.
right? And Des is also in on this too, because for our other business that we both own, you end up sitting there and utilizing like 3 to 4 hours just to create one 20-second video. And it's because there's so many templates out there you can use, and there's so many platforms you can do. That's like my biggest thing. That almost makes me want to quit social media.
Bro.
Right fucking there, because it's like, all right, I just spent 4 hours on a 20-second video that I don't even know is going to even hit 50 people to watch it.
To your point, though, dude, I've spent, I don't know, Suzette does them pretty well now. We use like cap cuts and all kinds of splits of leaf, all the shit. And so the ones that this is so frustrating to piggyback off of what you said. I'll spend 20 minutes, 15 minutes max on one reel and just put it together thinking, nothing's going to happen. And it blows up. And then I'll spend 2 hours, 4 hours on a reel. Oh, this is the one. This is the one. Yeah. And it's like crickets. I have $1 million view right now, 1 million view video on TikTok because I was wearing shorts. I was wearing workout shorts at Costco buying a 10-pound slab of beef. And it blew up from people talking about my shorts to people talking about my beef coming out of my shorts to it just blew up. And I was like, Suzette spent 5 seconds on that video, dude. It was ridiculous how simple it was, dude. I was like, this is some bullshit.
Definitely happened to me.
Yeah.
From that perspective and the frustration levels with how you teach your students, is there anything you tell them, okay, listen, if you get to a certain point, like you need to like focus on X, like this type of video or this type of story versus some of these other things? Do you have any things that you lean into from a teacher perspective or from a marketing perspective?
Not really anything specific. I just teach them the basics of everything. And then I teach them a lot about tools too, for the shortcuts, like scheduling apps, or like you said, the CapCut. So I'll have them go out and research all these tools and try them all out because they do save time. I'm definitely with you on the reels though, especially with the songs, because if you're a business, platform, you don't have the copyright to use certain music. And you're like, but then if you're on your personal account, you're like, yeah, this song's great, but then you can't use it for the business
then if you want to collaborate with somebody and that business doesn't have it, you can collaborate with them, but they're not going to get the music with it. So then it's fucked. It's just complete, like just flying blind scenario of what's going to work. And
you need to have a business platform, especially if you have a brick and mortar, unfortunately. And so that's the thing.
Or if you want to do ads.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I learned something new last week because I don't really do ads all the time, but I was helping a client who was having issue adding funds to her Instagram account, and Apple takes a huge percentage. So you're like, hey, I want to put $150 to sponsor this Instagram post. They're going to charge you $45 to do it.
Yeah.
Apple, I don't have that issue.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I do. No, I boost posts.
You're one of those dicks that has a Samsung.
But I have a Samsung, so I'm fucking solid. It's $5 at $5, bro. It goes with another reason.
I have seen that. That's a new thing, and I don't understand why that they take such a huge percentage.
Huge percentage. So now you got to go onto the desktop. You got to go through Facebook Business Meta, find the workarounds.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You said something, and I don't know if you agree with it. To me, although, yes, Instagram posts feed into Facebook. How much work do you do in Facebook, and what is the popularity of that right now? My coach tells me, he goes, wherever you're posting is where your audience is at. So if your audience is on Facebook, fucking go on Facebook. If your audience is on Instagram, go on Instagram, vice versa. If it's on TikTok, go on, so on and so forth. However, do you have any kind of feedback or instructions or tips on like, hey, yes, post where your audience is at, but do you think you should spread your content out across all the platforms, or should you just stay focused and funneled into the area that you're in already?
Yeah, I always recommend for people to get really good at 2 or 3 platforms and concentrate on those, because otherwise, if you try to do all the platforms, you're not going to have enough time. You hate social media now, you're going to hate it 100 times more. Unless you have a big bank account where you can pay someone to work on multiple platforms. Yeah, you just concentrate on 2 or 3.
Is Snapchat still a thing? Is that
not for our demographic.
Definitely not for our demographic, but that's one of those platforms that was a huge.
That's more high school.
All of a sudden, just vanished. I think.
Yeah, people are still doing it, I think, in my opinion. I have a couple clients that are using Snapchat, and I'm like, are you on Snap? And I'm like, no. Suzette tried to get one because our kid had one because they were doing something. And I'm like, I'll fucking try Snapchat. It drove me fucking crazy. It's worse than Instagram, bro. And I was like, no, thank you. Yeah.
So let me ask you about that. Do you have any take on the whole entire TikTok ban if it happens?
I don't know. I haven't researched that enough.
You're not really a TikTok.
My clients aren't on TikTok. My clients can really only afford 2 platforms. So they concentrate on Facebook and Instagram, really. Yeah. Or now live stream stuff.
I'm all for it to some degree. I think I don't have TikTok just because I don't want all that data going to China. But I also understand that a lot of people make money on TikTok, and there's a lot of money being made on TikTok. And I don't know if it's working for people. For me, I'm like, I can't, like you said, I don't want to deal with the data stuff, but I can have a hard time enough with Instagram and Facebook alone. And it's okay. I can't keep on adding and adding.
The platforms are so interchangeable, in my opinion, even though I'm not involved. And so it's like a reel's a reel. A TikTok is very similar to a reel. And the reality of the matter, dude, your fucking data's out there, period. And that's just my personal opinion.
It is.
Yeah. It's like they know who you are, where you are all the time, and they're always listening. It's just like you can say something right now. My phone's sitting on the desk, and I'm going to say, I want to know about Depends. And I bet you
my phone's here too.
Yes. You probably already Googled Depends, bro. You're older than me.
Now it's going to start popping up.
Now it's going to start popping up. It is what it is. I think if the ban happens, I think the repercussion, in my opinion, is going to be people flocking to the ones that are in the US. And if it does get banned, I think literally it'll come back.
What's going to happen?
What's that?
OnlyFans is going to take off even.
Yes.
Exactly. Something else.
Feet pics, here they come, baby.
I think what I'm going to do is get Trail Runner Dirty Feet OnlyFans. Are you in?
I have the feet pics for you.
Yeah,
wow.
I'll license them out to you.
I think maybe the ERS needs to come out with an OnlyFans dirty feet pic.
Wait, Omar hasn't seen the feet pics? You haven't showed him?
You haven't shown me the feet pics, bro? I thought we were closer than that.
close,
What the hell?
It's intimate stuff.
Wow. No, that's some bullshit, bro. I'm not into feet, but that's okay, dude. I mean, fuck, dude. Yeah. No, I'm good, dude. I don't want to see no feet anyways.
Yeah.
I'm more of a short kind of guy, dude. You got some
At
short
Costco. Shorts at Costco.
Short
Yeah,
shorts at
short-
Costco.
short at
only
Costco,
at
bro.
Costco, though.
Yeah.
That's the only way your TikTok is blowing up.
Dude.
If you're going to Costco and short
I wore short shorts at the computer store the other day, man. I didn't get no hits, bro. See, it must be it's some combination of me at Costco with short shorts on.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm gonna do it again, bro.
So I want to shift gears and chat about the Tahoe 200 that you were just at, because this is quite interesting to me. We talk about how social media is changing. And so the ultra races like the 200s have started doing more live stream type of stuff. And it's insane that they're capable of doing so. And I know it's not, and as you and I talked about this, it's not one of those things where it's exactly perfect stream.
Yeah, you're in the middle of nowhere, right?
Thank you. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I want to get your take on, as you said, you were trying to keep up with the front of the Packers, trying to go back and catch the people at the back. And you mentioned the DFL. And for anybody who doesn't know what DFL is, it's dead fucking last. And that's very cool that you ran in with them the last few miles. That's always great. So talk to us a little bit more about some of the stresses of having to navigate that without having great service the entire way.
Yeah. So I want to say the live stream first came out with Cocodona. When was that? 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And they've been improving it every year, but they put a lot of time, money, and resources into it. So people who saw Cocodona this year, it was pretty good. They had so many volunteers. They had a whole camera crew. So we're talking broadcast news type crew cameras. We're not talking like little baby ones. They had a social media team. So not just one person doing social media. So the social media team, and then separate, they had a whole live stream team. And everyone has Starlinks, but they still have technical difficulties. Extreme weather will affect equipment. You can't have things too hot or it'll overheat. You can't have it too cold. You have lighting conditions. So from my perspective, they did an amazing job, and everything goes to the YouTube live stream. But there's always those haters who are just in the YouTube chat. And it's just, wow, if you guys only knew how much work it is to put these on. And so now they have Free Trail, who's doing a lot of podcasts or doing live stream stuff. And then you have the little race directors who might just have one camera guy at the finish line, and they're setting up one camera, or they're setting up an iPad, or they're setting up an iPhone. It's just a lot of tech issues. Even when you have Starlink, sometimes it doesn't work, just like your phones. You may not catch that runner going through that you were supposed to. The DFL, I was trying to do live Instagram, and I was able to get live Instagram of all 6 of the front runners. But when the DFL came, it wouldn't connect to the live Instagram. So I had to do a video and then post it after. So there's always tech issues. Pre-production, during the live stream, and post-production. My little PSA is be nice out there, people, and don't be such a hater in the chats, because we are working our butts off to improve this with every race.
I've come to this conclusion about me and the short shorts, going back to that thing, that people
You're
behind
still thinking of the short.
Dude,
This is his claim to fame.
This is my claim to fame. Me and my short shorts,
This
right?
was his 15
This is
minutes.
my 15 minutes. It's over now, dude. But no, people are really bold behind a keyboard.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what it is, dude. Like,
it's
just, you can see they're busting your ass over you trying to make a live stream or get the content out, and people are just there, like, you turd, and just keeps going, man. I just, whatever, off like water off a duck's back, and just keep going. Yeah, it's just crazy.
And now people are expecting this crazy live stream broadcast show with commentators and live cameras, like we're ESPN over here. So just relax, people. It'll come. We're working on it.
How was, from you're talking about not being able to do the live stream with somebody coming in, like how much time are you actually, how much time were you out on course doing this stuff? Because there's also those times where you're having to take breaks and try and fidget with creating the video or uploading the content and stuff. So you're out there with a gimbal and a regular iPhone and everything else, but how like all hours of the night, and how much time are you having to commit to, I need to be out on the trail and I need to either run or walk or whatever with these people. What's the expectation there with you on doing that?
So this particular race, we had a dedicated video live stream person. So he sat at the finish line with the setup for, I want to say it was 3 nights. And he just sets up a cot right there and sleeps right there next to the camera. Because if runners come in, you can't miss them. And there's 3 photographers. So they're rotating all the time throughout the course. And there's always one person taking a shift at the finish line. And again, you have chairs or a cot right there. I was able to sleep in my van parked right there. The good thing is I didn't have to do much shooting at night, except for the first night when the front runners came in. So I hate to say it, but I was able to get 5 hours of sleep a night. So all the other people, wow. That was like gold. But then I'd be on the course all day, driving to the aid stations, because at 200-mile races, there's a lot of driving involved as well to get to the different aid stations.
I was gonna ask that question. You riding a bike? What are you doing?
Yeah. So for Tahoe, and I didn't make it to every single aid station. One aid station, my van couldn't make it on the road because being the media, I have access to, I'm allowed permission at every aid station, but my vehicle couldn't necessarily make it. So I had a total of 233 miles driven just during the event. That doesn't include driving to Tahoe and driving home. Bigfoot, I heard, is way worse. The aid stations are a lot more remote at the Bigfoot 200 in Washington. So I would go out there, and this darn hairy guy, the #1 runner, he's so fast. If you guys don't know who he is, look him up. He was so far in front of the other runners. So I would be out there all nervous. I'd miss him. I'd go run with him for a while, get all the shots. And then I'd go out and wait on the trail for 2 more hours for the next guy to come. So there was a lot of standing around too.
What's fast for a 200-mile race? I would assume they're not coming out. What's fast? Educate me.
They're shooting. The elite runners were shooting for a 48-hour finish at Tahoe this year. And I think, I don't know the exact hour. It was 51 or 52 was the #1 guy. 3rd overall was a female.
Wow.
Yeah. So they are getting fast. The last few races, 200s, has been sprint finishes. Last year at Moab, the 2 men were sprint finish. This year at Cocodona was almost a sprint finish, the 2 top males. It's getting crazy. I'm barely trying to cross the finish line when I ran it.
What are some of the new things that are happening as you've seen Tahoe 200 go out? And if you're heading out to Bigfoot or into Moab, are there things that are changing with the way social media is being done at these next events because of what you've seen so far?
I think the Starlink's helping a lot because you can have better reception now. So you have the ability to post more often. Whereas 2-3 years ago, you might get 1 post a day, an update, 1 time a day. Now you're getting updates every 3 hours, at least on Instagram.
How long will you say ultra races have been around, dude?
What was it? It is 90s, like early 90s, I think, was some of the first.
The first like ultras where somebody had a hairbrain idea to run more than 100 miles. And so this would be
honestly,
fun.
This sucks because I interviewed somebody a few years ago on my Trail Life podcast that actually was at the first couple like regulated
like Western races. States or something.
Wow. Yeah, it was like, and I'm pretty sure it was, and we're going to talk about this. I'm going to get this from the trail runners in the comments. I'm going to be wrong, but I think it was early 90s.
So I would imagine, the reason why I'm asking that question is because I would imagine people that are in the sport would want to know and see live, but it's not a very spectator friendly sport, right? And look how social media has converted it to where now people are like, I want to be there. I want to see them suffering on their 105th mile, right? Or vice versa. How long have you been doing stuff like this? You said 6 years, 5-6 years?
I've had my business for 7 years. Yeah.
Right. And so,
but I started doing social media when I worked in the corporate marketing. I started doing social media right when it came out. So as soon as like email marketing came out, I jumped on that. As soon as social media did, I jumped on that. My boss during the time was totally against it. He said, you're only allowed to work on social media for 2 hours a day. Then you got to work on other types of marketing.
But my question is like, how much has that evolved the sport of trail running? Right.
Oh, I feel like Cocodona has grown the sport like that company where everyone can see everything live.
Yeah. That's a really great question. It's a really good point. Look at some of those sports that weren't really that popular prior to even COVID, like even in like 2018 and 19, social media comes around, now everybody's able to go post their own photos on trails. Or I think like we talk about a sport like pickleball.
Yeah.
Pickleball is probably the most popular sport in the world.
It is the number one fastest growing sport in the world. Yeah.
So look at that sport alone and how much social media has helped grow that sport. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
I think there's a secret sauce to making the sport popular. I think there's a lot of like CrossFitters that do pickleball, and you think about the ultra running arena and David Goggins, man. Everybody's, oh yeah, David Goggins is synonymous for ultra running. And but now, dude, before we interviewed Hector, I knew about ultra racing, but I didn't like, after we interviewed him, I'm like, I really got to look up more ultra racing, even though I have no desire to freaking run 200 miles. But the thought came into my head, maybe I'll do like a 50K. Maybe. This is like a big maybe.
So 50 meters.
50 meters, 100%. Yeah. And so I think there's something to that when it comes to, I think Gary Vee said this the best, is they literally, what's his name? The gym launch guy, Alex Hormozi, talks about how he nearly broke the internet when he launched his last book because of what he did. And so I think social media is changed the face of so many industries and made it to where it's accessible. Now people are just demanding to see it on their stinking phone, even though it's a 200-mile race and there is no reception.
Yeah.
Izzy, why aren't you capturing this guy at mile 200 when he crossed the finish line? What the like
exactly what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. And it's rewind the tape, people. Like 5 years ago, you weren't getting this, No. And so how much of that is changing your approach in what you teach your students? I'm going to rewind that tape a little bit. And yeah, you know what I mean? It's like how much of that it's changing literally the way we talk to each other. It's changing the way we talk together individually, like face to face. I can't have a conversation with a 20-year-old that will look me in the eye, that look me in the fucking eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But it's changing the face of so many industries. How are you approaching that angle as a teacher when you talk about social media?
In social media, I've noticed, especially with all the AI now, students aren't that smart when they copy and paste. And when you upload papers to the system, it tells you how much is being plagiarized. And I'm like, and I started putting in little secrets here and there so I could tell when students are just copying and pasting straight from ChatGPT. Anyway, so I have been doing for the past few years, I make students do more video projects for me. And it's forcing them to talk just like this because they can't talk to people. They have their social skills. And I have so many students that have so much anxiety. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to make a video. I'm like, this is better than doing a presentation in front of 30 people. You're just doing it in front of your iPhone. But they're not comfortable doing it. It's insane to me. So I'm doing more video projects. I have students do little things like, hey, what does your voicemail say when someone calls you? Does it say, hi, this is Jeff Stoner with the Endurance Race Series. Please leave a message. Or does it say, hey, yo, what's up, baby? Leave me
know what a voicemail is?
But these are students who are looking for jobs and careers. So they need to be able to talk to people in person. One of my assignments is doing an elevator speech. Give me your 30-second elevator speech.
Yeah, the pitch. I like it.
Yep.
See,
tell me
the assignments are changing. I hardly do any papers or reports. Plus, I don't like reading them. What's MLA formatting going to help you really? It's good to be able to write content for emails, blogs, and social media. But like the actual MLA formatting for what I teach, it's not really needed. You get more out of doing a video and being able to talk to people and saying PC correct terminology these days. That's another thing. You have to be very careful with what you say and write. You can't offend anyone.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like even in the fitness industry, I'll use one example of, we used to call them female bars, right? Now they're called trainer bars. And those are all PC things that we have to be aware of. But yes, talk to us about I love that you're telling them to make videos, right? Because there's an art to speaking in a camera. I'm sorry. There just is. I'm learning the art of speaking into a mic as a result of starting this podcast. And Jeff has told me, he's pat me on my back a couple times, and he's told me that I'm gotten a lot better. So,
a little bit at a time. Yeah.
Thank you, Daddy.
You're welcome, buddy.
But I think there is an art to speaking in a camera or to a camera. But I also think that camera language is a thing as well. And I don't know, do you teach that? And so I'm seeing more and more stuff out there in the social media world. I try to follow trends so that I can tell Suzette, hey, look, and Suzette's pretty much on it because she's on TikTok and Instagram the whole freaking time anyways. Do you teach that? Is that something you teach your students, like camera language and angles and that kind of stuff? Or are we just talking just organic stuff?
No, that's more video classes. I'm teaching real basic. Please don't wear a beanie when you're doing your video presentation with me, and your pajamas. Let's keep it professional up top, comb your hair, try to have good lighting in the background, make sure the dogs are outside not barking and the kids aren't running around in the video. So I say, hey, just dedicate a little bit of time. So we're doing baby steps in my classes.
Got it. And do you use any of that when you're out there working in the field?
It's hard with people. I'll do like a few takes and I'll try to put a mic on them, but I also learn from other people too. For example, I was helping Candace with her FKT in April on the Arizona Trail, and she had a really top-notch camera crew following us. And I was asking them so many questions the whole time, asking about their equipment. Hey, what kind of mic did you just put on me? And I was paying attention how the questions he asked all of us to get the right answer back, like that sound clip back. So I'm still learning all that stuff too. One day I do want to be a commentator, but I'm not ready yet. No way.
We talk about camera angles a little bit. I know you don't teach that, but you being one that's taken enough trail running photos, what is a good, like from a trail runner perspective, if somebody's out there on the trails and wants to take their own photo? Because I know you've done it plenty of times. What's the secrets of taking a really great trail photo if you're out by your lonesome?
The number one secret is to clean your lens and make sure there's not a thumbprint on it. I happen to run all the time with what I call a snot rag because my nose runs a lot out with the flowers and everything. I take a clean part of that snot rag, and you need to make sure that this is clean, or if you're going this way, this is clean. That's the number one thing I see is like a big thumbprint on it. Also, you can use the wide angle on both ends, doing the wide angle up. Usually don't go from down. I don't know why people go from down, but the wide angle up. And it's always a matter of lighting. So take 2 or 3 pictures and see how it is, or have your iPhone on the live setting so you can choose which image you want throughout there.
See, that's the one thing I forgot to ask Bliss when we had her on. What's the best camera angles for a fitness influencer?
Bliss? I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, I've learned so much from her from a social media perspective, and not just the angles and not because I've asked her to learn. Because she always works out with us. Yeah. And it's, hey, can you take this video? But I need you to do this, that. I need you to zoom in and out and make sure.
Yep.
And you and I are like, yeah, what's up, guys? What's happening?
Selfie close up.
Yeah. Oh, I think I told Jeff the other day, I'm like, redo that, but put it on portrait mode.
Yeah. I was taking pictures of some hats that came in. Yeah.
And so it's the things like I just don't have any desire to do. I don't care if my double chin is showing.
And then you got to edit the photo after. Yeah. Then you got to put it in the apps. You got to edit it, crop it. If you got something in there, you can Photoshop it out if you need to.
One of the funnest Instagram accounts that I follow are all of those ones that tell you how to show you different camera angles.
Yeah.
And the way to take photos of different things, like when you're traveling and all that shit. I actually like those. I started following all those. Not that I ever put those into play.
Yeah.
But
I like.
I'm thinking maybe one of these days, if I can put one of them into play and I can send it to Izzy for the trail accounts, maybe it'll be like gold star for Jeff.
Bro. I follow those same pages. However, I do it because I think there's some kind of magical setting in my Instagram profile that, you want your post to get more engagement. Make sure it's this setting. And I'm like, I'm going to go do that. And then I realize
I can never find them.
Yeah. You got me for 2 minutes.
It's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck.
Can't figure it out. A big trend on like steals right now. And like, I don't know. Maybe it's just me and the pages that I follow. Steals, like still pictures. Still. I'm Mexican, bro. Leave me alone.
Still photos.
All right. Yeah. I will use the right. Say it again.
Still.
I can't say it. Dude, see, there you go. All right. Pictures. Let's go with that. All right.
Pictures.
All right. Let's go with pictures.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Versus reels. There's a couple businesses in the area that I follow because they're local, right? And I support them. But some of them don't even do reels. They have 4 reels. And then they have 7,000 followers. And they're like just growing organically by posting their pictures. And it could be
and that's fine.
Yeah.
So that's working for them. So they don't need to waste their time doing reels if they don't need to.
And so
maybe they don't know how to make a reel.
I'm sure they do, but
they just don't want to spend the 5 hours to do a 5-second video.
Hours. And I'm noticing like a lot of just the image of the page and it being a certain imagery, right? Like I'll look
through
my aesthetics. Thank you. Where it's just I go through my page and I'm like. It's fucking hilarious. But however, there's the aesthetics of a lot of these pages are blowing up. That organic, is that considered to be more organic stuff that you teach?
You always want to have a strategy, and then you can use graphics and templates to say if you're using the same fonts all the time, you could do that. So it just depends on each client's different. Yeah. If you look Tahoe 200, it's like the graphics, they're all the same template and it's all the same fonts.
Yeah. What's nice with it, you can tell what's trending at that point or what Instagram is figuring out. Let's go with Instagram. What Instagram is figuring out, like you used to not be able to add music to your still photos.
Still. Didn't I? Come on.
Still photos.
Still photos.
But now you can. Now you can. So you can definitely tell there's some trends that are popping up here and there, and it's because I think a lot of people don't want to use the reels aspect or spend all the time to do the reels with the music. But
I think there's something to the aesthetics piece of everyone's page. I also think that there's something to isolating or funneling what you're putting out there on each page. God, you have how many freaking social media platforms for your businesses? And so
too many.
Yeah, exactly. Versus me, I'm just, I don't give a fuck like that. Everything, Coach Omo, this is everything that he gets involved in. You'll see everything that I get involved in. It's NFA, it's ERS, it's Omo Training House. And it's like very ADHD as much as what I am. But now that Suzette is overseeing the Omo Training House page, that is more community based. It's more, she's focused more on the aesthetics. And I got somebody else. We're going to have Tina Dominguez on, and shout out to Tina. She's actually doing a lot of my aesthetics and stuff like that for the Omo Training House page. But you do teach that. And is there something to a growing profile if we were to focus more on aesthetics, or is that something not so much to worry about?
I think you should focus on it. Yeah, I think it's good to have a strategy in place. And I teach that with my students. I have them do assignments like coming up with strategies. I make up things for them.
Yeah, I know you had a question. I'm going to guess you're going to give us some tips. That's what you're going to ask.
That was the
dude. We're right here, buddy.
See, look at that.
Look at that. We're right there.
Twins unite, you guys. All right. But I was going to ask it a little differently. All right. All right. Top 3 do's and top 3 don'ts for a social media.
Let's see. Top 3 do's is to be consistent. Don't just post every day for 2 weeks and then not post for 2 months. So consistency is key. So whether that be, hey, I only have the bandwidth to post twice a week, but I can keep that consistency for a year type of thing. So consistency, quality over quantity. Don't post just to post. Make sure you're saying something worth viewing or reading. So it goes in line with number 1. What would number 3 be? Testing. Always test. So test your reels, test your in-feed posts, and test your carousels, meaning multiple pictures in one post, and test different times of the day and different days of the week to know where your demographic. And after you do that for maybe test for a month, then you can go into your dashboard and you can see the analytics on what days of the week are the biggest days and what times of the days are the biggest times. The don'ts, I guess that kind of goes with don't post just to post. I always recommend staying away from controversial issues because it could get you in trouble, and to watch what you say.
Who hasn't been put in Facebook jail? I mean, I think everybody at this point has at one point in time.
When you say trouble, you mean with the platform itself and getting blocked, or are you saying trouble like?
Or your audience
haters,
too. Yeah. Make sure. Yeah. And with small business owners, I always tell them post your personal stuff on your personal page and your business stuff on your business page. I've had so many clients in the past that are small businesses and they'll put personal stuff on their business page, and I'll ask them, what did that have to do with your business? And then they think about it. Oh yeah, I guess going bowling really didn't have anything to do with my business. I'm like, put that on your personal page.
And make sure that when you get ready to post a photo, it's the correct photo. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Don't ever make that mistake.
She posted the wrong photo for me today, but we got it fixed.
Wow. Well, I
Photo wrong
platform.
wrong buckle.
Wrong
Wrong version.
There you go.
There are multiple versions.
Sorry, I
of the
just had
image.
to give it a little, just a little jab to the marketing, social media marketer.
I agree with the controversial piece, right? I try to stay as PC as possible. Or
Yeah, it's hard.
neutral as possible. It's really freaking hard to do that. It really is. However, I came across a page that talked about, I was telling you about this in the gym, dude, about a guy who legitimately would bring up like a controversial post. And then he sells cars, by the way. His business is selling cars, right? So he'll come in and he'll play a clip of the controversial video and then give his opinion on it and then say, here we have a 2024 Tahoe. And and it's, dude, I'm like, he legitimately will give his political, just
Spiel.
unfiltered spiel about the post and go, by the way, and and this whole page was like, he legitimately grew his account because the haters are coming to him. And they're like, how dare you say this? And I would never buy a car from you. But yet his account just went... because of people hating him. I don't have the time or the energy to stay controversial or just to make a comment. We are getting into political season.
Yeah.
It's coming, bro.
I have a strict rule not to go into that stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
I agree.
Politics and religion, I definitely want to keep all of that. Anyway, I digress.
Dude, I need to do some of that, man. I'm telling you, dude, I'm going to start wearing shorts in the gym, bro.
Please do not.
Please, 100%. And we're gonna do it on squat day. And I might bring a 10-pound piece of beef into the gym. Just cuz, bro. Just cuz.
Oh,
Come on, dude. It's okay.
excuse me. I gotta go throw up.
I'll be like, would you hold my beef while I squat?
No. Anyway, on that note, Isabella, thank you for joining us. I'm going to get you out of this conversation before it goes even.
I don't know if I can send my students to this one.
Yeah, exactly.
I was talking about ground beef, you guys.
Now I'm going to have to
Mine
edit,
out of the gutter,
now I'm going to have to edit out the entire last 20 minutes of this conversation. Great.
I am PG 13. Okay. I think I was a comedian in my previous life. I think so. Why is she laughing when we say that?
See you later.
Thanks, Steve.
This has been an international podcast transmission of No Fixed Agenda presented by Bubs Naturals. You can rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast episodes. NFA, over and out.